afternoon. My name is Brastaviceanu and I'm here at the 2017 Canadian Science Policy Conference. Joining me today is Tiberius Brastaviceanu, co-founder of Sensorica, and Fabio Balli, co-founder of Breathing Games. Welcome.
Thank you.
So why don't you start by telling us a little about what you do and what's unique about it?
Yes, let's say for the past 8 to 10 years, I'm very interested in open processes, open science, open innovation, open networks, and so the interest to be here is to talk a little bit more about the role that the crowd has in generating new knowledge, in transferring knowledge into innovation, and also in just plainly solving social problems or any kind of problems that they or other people might have. So that was my interest to come here. I think there's a lot of talk about scientific development, how the scientific institution will evolve in the future. There is a lot of talks about open science as academia, partnerships with the public sector, and we're here to introduce the idea of the crowd, open networks as a third pillar of innovation and transfer of technology.
And how about yourself?
So I'm coordinating Breathing Games, which is a collective that co-creates games and hardware for respiratory health to make treatment but also education fun and accessible to everyone.
Right.
And we really have been developing a model that is about open source, open collaboration, enabling people to use, reuse, modify, reproduce what we are doing, so that we invite, in fact, populations to take ownership of their own health and of their own technologies.
So both of you were on a panel earlier today. Would you mind giving us a bit more detail of what that panel was, who participated with you, and what came out of it?
So it was a panel on open science. We came from the angle of practicing open science, presented some very interesting open science and open innovation projects with the idea to expose the audience to these practices. How do people organize as open networks to innovate? What kind of governance they use? What kind of methodologies? And what can come out of these open collaborative innovation projects? And Fabio was actually presenting his breathing game, which is a fabulous project about how patients can.
Patient can work, in fact, with other people interested in health to really create their technologies. So I think one key element in the panel was to say today the mainstream approach is really to do closed innovation that is proprietary, that is protected, and that is not really adapted to enable everyone to access healthcare, do their own screening, and also forbids, in fact, people in low-resource countries to access to these technologies. And I feel like we see that there are groups, collective, fab labs, and other places where people start to join together, but they are not really connected well. So that was one element of the discussion, to say, okay, how can we, in the policies, also foster more collaboration between these spaces and between people.
So you mentioned about strengths in academic and open collaborational moments. Can you speak to one or two examples of specifics? Or how often does that happen in Canada? And where are gaps, and what can be done?
I think open science is a big movement. We shared a panel with McGill University. Guy Rouleau spoke about MNI, which is a Montreal Neurological Institute that has made a bold statement to move to open science, so no patents involved. So Canada is leading in some ways. There is open science initiatives all over the world, so it is a movement that is growing. But we're here because this is just starting, is not very well formalized, and And definitely, when it comes to governmental policies and language and strategy for economic development through innovation, we still talk about patents. We still talk about proprietary
Information.
proprietary technology, and there is a case to be made here that open innovation and open science actually stimulates economic development, and probably even faster. So it does happen quite often. There's a lot of projects. Fabio's breathing game project is a great example, how the crowd can actually put together a new therapeutical means in terms of hardware and gains, and take ownership of these, their medical problems. But there's still a huge cultural gap that needs to happen in our government and in academia also, and in the private sector. You want to add something?
Yes, so in our initiative, in fact, we have collaborations with universities and also with hospitals. And we see that being autonomous and being a collective instead of traditional organization is really helping us to bring people together and to innovate more faster, and really to build on the collective knowledge without having really an issue or a need of economic performance. So what we try to do is really to build on the people's experience, to work with research partners, to do participatory research, to co-create and to document what we do. And I think what people from academia and hospitals appreciate is really this openness and their ability to bring the skills, but also to learn from others that are in design, in development, in arts, and really try to join forces, in fact, to have a better health for everyone.
Right. So for people who are viewing this and who are perhaps at that point of their career where they might just be graduating with a degree, or are starting to think about this and would like to participate, what do you think are ways they might go about doing that?
How can they join your project?
So we have a website where we share the events we are organizing, which is breathinggames.net.
Okay.
We are also on social networks, but we also try to publish about how to co-create events, how to do open innovation in games and hardware. So I think that's not only a possibility to join what we are doing, but also to take some elements and build their own projects on it, to fork it, to do something else. So there are many possibilities to develop what we are doing in other directions too.
And I would add that the young people today, I think, they do live in a world of networks without, geopolitical boundaries.
Sure.
They grew up with Facebook and Twitter, and they have a different view of the world. And today, more and more, they have a new alternative. Before it used to be you either work in the public sector or in the private sector.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're outside of the economic model. And you're doing, just free work or,
Freelancing.
Freelancing. Well,
Yep.
Free in the sense of not getting paid for
That's true.
doing
Yep.
something for society. But now networks are emerging as economic agents that are able to innovate and they're able to produce. So there is this third alternative that young people have. As networks become economic agents, they can actually provide a living for freelancers that congregate within these networks.
Sure.
That can generate revenue together through collaboration. So there is a way to engage in open science and open innovation projects that lead to different forms of benefits, including tangible ones. So you can raise a family in a very near future by getting involved in open organizations and engaging in open science and open innovation projects. So I would say please explore this new venue that is emerging now. Look more for peer-to-peer open innovation, open science, and connect with these communities and find a way to probably make a life of a freelancer operating within a free world. essentially.
Yeah. So you are here at the Science Policy Conference. What has been your take of this event and providing such opportunities on discussing these topics?
I'm thinking about it.
Well, I do have some answer for that. I am surprised to see how open, or to experience again how open Canada is, and its governance. The fact that we are here to talk about something that is quite new, talking about open networks and open source development and open science to such an event is really important. So there is that openness that we experience, that process where we get ideas from the margins of society, where true innovation it's created, right, and filtered to the center of power decision making. So I really appreciate that openness, that process that allows people to express their ideas, to present their work, even if it's something that is very new and sometimes very disruptive. I'm very
So
pleased,
this is a
pleased to be here.
platform, essentially.
It is a good platform to gather ideas from a wide basis. In that case, I think Canada can institutionalize these new ways of doing things faster, because it has that free input, right? So we're very happy to be here to share our experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's a gathering that is interesting because we can get different viewpoints. I was surprised in the beginning to have really a lot of people very enthusiastic about artificial intelligence. And I feel it's always a risk to really focus on technologies and not so much on what does it bring to the social. And I feel maybe a possibility for a next conference would be to also have some spaces where people can create their own agenda, where they can share their priorities, and being more in a place where you can bring your own challenges, your own knowledge to build something together. I think that
And have an open discussion, essentially.
To make it more participatory.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. I thank you both for joining us at this seat.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here, and look forward to more of learning about open science and innovation.